Thank you. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. We will call the State Allocation Board meeting to order at 4:04 p.m. And pursuant to Senate Bill 189, Chapter 48, Statutes of 2022, the meeting is being conducted by way of Zoom. It's being broadcast in room 4221 at the Ziggurat Building, 707 3rd Street in West Sacramento. For those of you that would like to provide public comment in person, in order for the meeting to run efficiently, please note the following guidelines. All attendees will be muted during the meeting. If any member of the public would like to make a comment, please use the raise hand feature in the Zoom interface. I will call your name at the appropriate time, and one of our team will request to unmute you. If you're calling into the meeting and not using the computer or the Zoom app on a mobile device, you will unfortunately be unable to provide public comment. But again, we hope that you either have access to Zoom or provide comment in person. Number two, the board will meet in closed session upon the conclusion of the general meeting pursuant to Government Code Section 11126E for the purpose of conferring with and receiving advice from legal counsel regarding pending litigation. And before we start our agenda items today, I'd like to welcome two new members. We're so thrilled that you're here. Assemblymember Davies, thank you for being here. And Assemblymember Maritsucci, who is not on yet, I don't believe, but oh, there you are, Assemblymember. Thank you so much for joining us today. Mm-hmm. We are really grateful that you're here. Assemblymember Maritsucci is replacing Assemblymember O'Donnell, and Assemblymember Davies is replacing Assemblymember Mays. So thank you again. This is really an incredible team. We work really hard, but it's for the very things that everyone in your districts care so much about, making sure that all our students have a safe and adequate place to go to school. And we do everything we can for all of the districts in the state. We work a lot together. You'll hear about all the funds that we ensure go out so that these schools are built. So thank you. I hope you will enjoy serving with us. Really appreciate your leadership and look forward to doing a lot of good work together. So with that, we will establish a roll for Ms. Jones, please.
Yes. Senator Wilk, Senator Laird, Assemblymember Bonta, Assemblymember Maritsucci. I got it. Thank you. Assemblymember Davies.
Here.
Juan Morales.
Here.
Jeremy Smith.
Here.
Ana Lasso.
Here.
Gail Miller.
Here, we have a quorum. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that, we have the minutes from the January 25th, 2023 meeting. Ms. Silverman, anything additional?
Minutes ready for your approval.
Great. Any public comment on the minutes? Any questions? I will move approval of the minutes. May I have a second?
Second.
Great. Thank you, Assemblymember Davies. Ms. Jones, will you take the roll?
Yes, I will. Assemblymember Miriam. I'm sorry, I keep doing that. Maritsucci.
Here. Aye.
Thank you. Assemblymember Davies.
Aye.
Juan Morales.
Aye.
Jeremy Smith.
Aye.
Ana Lasso.
Aye.
Gail Miller.
Aye. The minutes are approved. Next, we'll move to the executive officer statement, please, Ms. Silverman.
Yes, we wanted to highlight a couple great things, and we're excited about this month to report out. We have a current filing round open for the California Preschool and Transitional Kindergarten and Full Day Kindergarten program. That second filing round opened on February 1st. It closes March 2nd. And as of February 20th, we actually have $257.7 million in requests. That represents 52 applications for 30 districts. And again, I know we have about $360 million available, and we know, just like turning in your homework assignment, we'll expect a flood of applications to come through the door. And so that filing deadline is March 2nd. So please, we encourage all our districts to use our online application process. It's very easy, and you can upload all your documentation for your funding application. And so we're looking forward to a more robust number to share with you at next month. And then we also wanted to highlight our virtual joint agency office hours. We had an office hours joint agency group, and it was with the Department of Education and OPSC, and it was held on February 3rd. And it was very well, I would say we had a dozen participants, but it was great because, no appointment is needed. And you can actually, we had breakout sessions. So if folks were interested about, the process with Department of Education or even a funding application, and there was a lot of questions related to the full day kinder filing round. So again, anytime, join us. We have another office hours that we wanted to highlight is going to be March 17th. And we're adding on another agency, which is great. So we'll be partnering again with the Department of Education and the Division of State Architect with OPSC. So March 17th from 11 to noon, no appointment needed. Come join us, and we're going to help you through this process or any questions you have related to the program. So again, we welcome all to attend and participate in this great opportunity here. Our next item we wanted to highlight is we have a new online project tracking system, and it's in the beta environment right now. So we introduced that February 8th, and it's a new project tracking system that's on our online environment, and it provides a lot of functionality and more transparency to our districts. And I know we say it's called fuzzy logic, but think about a Google search, right? You go into our online portal and you do a search, and it may be a brief name or maybe an incorrect spelling, and it automatically populates with project data and project information. So again, we want to provide additional enhancements to our online product. So you can do a lot of functionality, a lot of search with basically a program grant. You can find out what type of application we funded, who received a fund release, what was the scope of the approval of the grant approval. And again, there's a lot of great functionality there, transaction history, you name it, it's there. So again, we're looking for our stakeholders to give us information and development and give us feedback so we can further enhance our online portal. And again, we encourage feedback to be submitted to OPSC communications@dgs.ca.gov. So yeah, we want to make this a very robust system. And so we're looking forward to having feedback. And our next meeting is March 22nd at 10 a.m. And we're looking forward to a consent only agenda.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions? Seeing none, any public comment? Seeing none, with that, we will move to our consent agenda. Ms. Silverman, please.
Consent agenda is ready for your approval.
Great. Are there any questions on the consent agenda? Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll move approval. May we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Assemblymember Davies. Ms. Jones, will you take the roll?
Yes, I will. Assemblymember Marisucci.
Aye.
Thank you. Assemblymember Davies.
Aye.
Juan Morales.
Aye.
Jeremy Smith.
Aye.
Ana Lasso.
Aye.
Gail Miller.
Aye. Thank
And
you.
that motion carries.
Great. The consent agenda is approved. Thank you very much. Next, we will move to the financial reports, please, Ms. Silverman.
Yeah, highlighted on page 109, we just wanted to highlight to the board that we have some great releases of cash in January. So we had over close to 154 million the districts have requested as a result of having cash available through their general fund and some bond proceeds. So again, that's great news for the program. And then on page 111 and 112, which is our status of funds, our financial reports, we wanted to highlight to the board that as part of the consent agenda, there was 61 projects for nearly close to $206 million that was approved as part of the consent agenda. And I'm open to any questions. Yay, it's good news.
Hey, I know, that's amazing. See, what other committee would you get to be on that does that much work in that short an amount of time? Thank you. It's great news. Thank you, Ms. Silverman. Any questions or comments? Any public comments? Seeing none, we'll move to the final item on our agenda, the appeal of the Santa Ana Unified School District by Ms. Kampminer, and we will ask the Santa Ana USD's Senior Facilities Planner, Ms. Yvette Miranda, to please come on mute on the Zoom so we can unmute you and you can address the committee. Ms. Kampminer.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So yes, we have one appeal today for Santa Ana Unified, and this is for a modernization project at Washington Elementary School. The appeal can be found on page 129 of the agenda today. And before I get into the details, I will say that staff does recommend approval of this appeal. What the district is requesting is a change of scope to a modernization project that they're doing at this school site. They originally had planned to do some extensive work on the site itself, and then there were also 9 buildings included in the modernization project. They still plan to do the site work. However, they've reevaluated what they need at the site from an enrollment standpoint, and don't believe that they will be needing all of the buildings to house students in the future. So they'd like to change the scope to reduce the modernization from 9 buildings down to 3 buildings. And inside of those 3 buildings, they have also added some plumbing features so that they can convert some of the existing space so that it can serve transitional kindergarten. When a school district has submitted an application and requests a change of scope like this, we do bring it to the state allocation board and look at our change of scope policy that the board's used over the years. And there are a couple things that staff is looking at when making recommendations on these types of items. The first is when a new state agency approval is required because the work has changed. We take a look to ensure that this isn't an issue of line jumping, where one project was submitted and a different project is ultimately constructed. And we don't believe that that is occurring in this particular instance. The bulk of the work that is in the original 3 buildings, plus the site work, is still there. The district is still maintaining that scope of work, and the plumbing changes that are allowing for the conversion to the transitional kindergarten classrooms are minor. So we don't think that this is an issue of line jumping. And then the second thing that we look at is whether there's an impact to funding that needs to be adjusted. In the modernization program, because we are doing the funding on pupil grants, the district has the choice at the local level to determine where on the campus those funds are spent. And the one thing that we are confirming, though, is whether or not the project meets the 60% commensurate requirement. And in that, the district has to demonstrate that the work, the hard construction costs inside the plans is equal to at least 60% of the funds that are being provided for the modernization apportionment. And in this case, the removal of the buildings does not bring them below that threshold. So they are still meeting the 60% commensurate requirement. And so there are no issues with the funding. We will note that by adding the transitional kindergarten classrooms, the district will have an adjustment to the new construction eligibility for the capacity that has been added, but that's a standard function of the program and not necessarily tied to the change of scope. It's just the result of the work that's being done in the buildings. But we do recommend approval, and if the board does approve this appeal, on attachment C, we've included the apportionment funding shell, so the district would be able to receive an apportionment as part of this approval, and they could seek their fund release for that. And we have noted on the apportionment funding shell itself the change of scope so that there are no issues and there's a clear audit trail for the changes to this project. With that, we do have the district here available to answer any questions, and I'd be happy to do so as well.
Great, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And again, just reiterating that this does have staff recommendation to approve this appeal. Ms. Miranda, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and say a few words about the appeal, knowing that you have I assume, a lot of support, and you're just south of Assembly Member Matazuchi's district. So thank you for joining us, Ms. Miranda.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I'm at a conference right now, but I just wanted to say on behalf of the district, we would like to thank the SAB and staff for their assistance in moving the project forward for the students. We're so excited.
Great. Well, really appreciate that. And I echo the sentiments to the team. Thank you, as always, for making all of these appeals work for districts in every case possible. So thank you, thank you, thank you. With that, I think I will move approval. The staff recommendation of the appeal. May we have a second, please?
Second.
Great, thank you very much. Any further public comments? Sorry. Seeing none, Ms. Jones, will you please call the roll?
Certainly. Assembly Member Murasucci.
Aye.
Thank you. Assemblymember Davies,
Aye.
Juan Morales,
Aye.
Jeremy Smith,
Aye.
Ana Lasso,
Aye.
Gail Miller.
Aye. That, the appeal is granted. Thank you very much. Before we go into closed session, Ms. Silverman, will you present the 90-day workload, please?
Yeah, but I also wanted just to quickly highlight, we have the local audit reports, a lot of local audit updates, and that's actually on page 138 through 140 before we get to the workload reports. And this is just to summarize to the board with no action needed. It's just an information item, just to summarize the certification of the local audits performed by the Controller's Office. So on page 140, we definitely wanted to highlight that with the enactment of Education Code 41024, any project approved after July 1st of 2017 required a local audit. And just to summarize the local audits that were received by the Controller's Office, there was 248 projects that were received by the State Controller's Office, and they actually certified 98 projects. 53 of those audits were for audits that were received in 2022, and 45 of those audits were audits that were received in prior years. And out of the 98 audits, there were actually 8 that had findings, 5 with non-monetary findings, and 3 with monetary findings. And some of the findings relate to a site adjustment, so we don't necessarily determine that as an ineligible expenditure rather than an audit, or excuse me, a program adjustment because they received too much site grant funds. And with that, we just wanted to summarize, there's about nearly $1.5 million that will be returning back to the state as a result of those findings. It comes back to the program that makes it, I guess, additional program funds for other projects. And we obviously, with the enactment of Education Code 41024 and the grant agreement that provides clear and transparent rules and processes in place about the eligible expenditures and ineligible expenditures. Also, our staff participated in the K-12 audit development guide, has been an effective manner of providing assistance and program assistance for this program for the oversight of the local audit. So again, we want to thank our partners at the State Controller's Office for partnering with us and ensuring that there's transparency and accountability in this program. And with that, we're requesting the board to acknowledge your report.
Great, thank you very much. Sorry about that. Any other questions?
Workload is ready for your approval.
Great, thank you very much. Seeing no questions, we will now, and no public comments, just confirming that, right? Yep. We'll now move into closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 11126E for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel regarding litigation. Can you just give us instructions, Ms. Silverman or Ms. Jones, as to how the committee should go into closed session? And then Mr. Egan, if you could also let us know if we need to come back or if I can just come back and report out from closed session, just so folks know what to expect.
Right. Yes, Chair, we can't come back from closed session and it could just be you.
Okay, great.
And then Michael, we just have a separate link, correct?
That's correct. You'll hit leave on this meeting, then you should have a second link in your Outlook invites for the closed session Zoom.
Great, thank you very much. So with that, I just want to give one last call for public comment. I will be the only one coming back after closed session to report out. So anyone wishing to comment for any reason? Seeing none, the board will adjourn into closed session and should be back on this Zoom in about 10 to 15 minutes. So thank you very much, everyone, and welcome again to Assemblymember Davies and Maritsuchi. Thank you. Pursuant to Government Code Section 11126E for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel regarding litigation, and we have nothing to report. We are back in open session. We're going to open the roll on the items so that Senator Wilk is able to capture his vote. And I said it just in time for Ms. Jones to get on the line. I apologize. So Ms. Jones, if you could go through the agenda with the senator.
I certainly will.
Thank
Senator
you.
Wilk, how do you vote on the minutes?
Aye.
How do you vote on the consent calendar?
Aye.
And how do you vote on the Santa Ana appeal item, which is the recommended for approval?
Aye.
And you're all caught up. Thank you so much.
No, thank
Great.
you.
Really appreciate you, Senator Wilk, as always.
Sorry being a pain, but I did
No, you're
Two
never,
places
well,
at
we're
one
on,
time.
and we're on a public Zoom and we always appreciate your willingness and commitment to join us at these meetings. It's super important. Any last public comment before we adjourn the meeting? Anyone wishing to comment for any reason? Seeing none, thank you again. Thank you to the OPSC team and have a great week, everyone. Take care.
You.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Gail.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Senator. Thanks, Lisa.